She finally did it. No wild card. No special invitation. No future prospect label attached. Alexandra Eala is in the main draw of a WTA 1000 event purely on ranking, and instead of easing her in gently, the tennis world has responded with a challenge that feels like a test of identity. Because here's the twist nobody talks about when they say great opportunity. Opportunity in professional tennis usually comes disguised as pressure, and Eala's first round at the Qatar Open might look friendly on paper, but the story behind it is anything but simple. Let's get one thing clear right away. This is not just another tournament appearance. This is a checkpoint in her career timeline. The moment where the conversation quietly shifts from promising junior to serious tour player. And the path waiting for her in Doha? It's filled with names, styles, and storylines that could shape her entire season before February even ends. Eala was guaranteed a qualifier in round 1, which sounds like a gift. No seeded monster. No top 10 giant immediately across the net. But qualifiers are dangerous in a different way. They're already battle-tested. They've adjusted the courts, the conditions, the speed of play. They come in with rhythm. And Eala's potential list of opponents? It wasn't just random hopefuls. It was a mix of rising threats, experienced fighters, and one very familiar name who already left a mark on her season. Before the final spot was decided, 8 players stood in the way of that first handshake at the net. 8 different styles. 8 different problems to solve. Sonny Cardle was one of the early standouts. A player who doesn't always make headlines but has built a reputation for clean ball striking and quiet confidence. She took out Kimberly Birrell in straight sets, showing the kind of form that makes qualifiers dangerous. Cardle doesn't give you free rhythm. She absorbs pace and redirects it, forcing opponents to generate their own power over and over again. Against someone like Eala, who thrives on constructing points and changing angles, that kind of resistance can turn rallies into mental endurance tests. Then there was Alicia Parks. And this is where the emotional layer enters the story. Parks' power. Raw, explosive, first strike tennis. And she already beat Eala earlier this season at the Australian Open. That match wasn't just a loss. It was a lesson in what top-tier power can do when timing is locked in. Parks took time away, rushed points, and made Eala defend on her heels. A rematch in Qatar would not just be tactical, it would be psychological. Could Eala absorb the pace better this time? Could she extend rallies and pull Parks into uncomfortable territory? That question alone would have made it must-watch. Camila Osorio brought a completely different puzzle. Movement, variety, and the kind of counterpunching that forces you to win points 3 times before they're actually over. Osorio is the type of player who turns straight-line hitters into overthinkers. Against Eala, it would have been a chess match of patience versus patience, where shot selection matters more than raw power. Those matches often swing on a handful of points, and they test emotional control just as much as technical skill. Varvara Gracheva was another name with serious tour experience. She plays with depth, pace, and the kind of steady baseline pressure that exposes short balls immediately. Gracheva doesn't disappear from matches. If you want to beat her, you have to actively take it. That kind of opponent forces young players to step forward, to trust their aggressive patterns. It's a growth match, but also a dangerous one if confidence wavers. And then there was Vera Zvonareva, experience personified, a former Grand Slam finalist with a kind of tennis IQ you can't teach. Even at this stage of her career, Zvonareva understands patterns, momentum swings, and how to make younger players uncomfortable by changing tempo at exactly the right moment. Facing her would have been like taking an exam in disguise. Moyuka Yukijima added another layer of unpredictability, solid from the baseline, quick around the court, and capable of extending rallies into physical battles. Players like Yukijima don't always overwhelm you with one shot. They wear you down point by point, asking the same question again and again. Can you stay disciplined? Anastasia Zakharova represented the fearless younger wave, aggressive, willing to take risks, and often play with nothing to lose in these qualifying stages. That freedom can be dangerous. When shots are flying in, momentum builds fast, and suddenly the match feels like it's slipping before you've settled. And finally, Teresa Valentova, the top seed in qualifying, who survived a scare and fought her way through pressure moments. That resilience matters. Winning from behind in qualifying builds belief, and belief travels with you into the main draw. Now here's the reveal. The draw is done. The speculation is over. Alexandra Eala will face Teresa Valentova in the first round. On paper, that might look like a relief compared to some of the bigger names in qualifying, but context matters. Valentova comes in match sharp. She's already handled adversity this week. She's already felt the court under pressure, and she's already proven she can flip momentum when things get tight. For Eala, this is about more than tactics. It's about how she walks onto that court mentally. Because this time, she's not the wild card story. She's not the surprise guest. She belongs here by ranking. That changes expectations, both internally and externally. This is also a landmark moment in her career. For the first time, she entered a WTA 1000 main draw without needing a wild card. That might sound like a small administrative detail, but in professional tennis, it's a line in the sand. It means your ranking has done the talking. It means your results over the past year build a foundation strong enough to carry you into the sport's biggest regular events. Think back to her breakout run last season that introduced her to a global audience. That run came with the magic of surprise. Opponents didn't always know what to expect. Now they do. Now there's scouting. Now there's preparation specifically for her lefty patterns, her angles, her ability to redirect pace cross-court. And that's why this match against Valentova is sneaky important. It's a test of evolution. Has Eala added more variety, a heavier serve, more willingness to step inside the baseline and finish? These are the upgrades that separate a talented newcomer from a consistent tour presence. But the story doesn't end with round one. Waiting further down the draw are names with Grand Slam final experience. That's the mountain ahead. Even if the path starts with qualifier, the climb gets steep fast. And sometimes, knowing what's coming later can either fuel you or distract you. The key for Eala is to shrink the focus. One return game, one service hold, one extended rally where she imposes her patterns instead of reacting. Against a qualifier full of confidence, early scoreboard pressure can change everything. A quick break, a long deuce game one. Those moments can tilt belief. What I love about this stage of her career is that we're watching the transition live, the shift from promise to proof. Losses at this level stop being good experience and start becoming information. Information about what needs sharpening, what holds up under fire, and what still needs building. And let's be honest, the emotional layer is real. Carrying the hopes of a nation, being one of the most visible players from your country on the global stage, that adds weight, but it also adds fuel. Every big stage match becomes bigger than just ranking points. So here's the big question for you. If Eala gets through this first round, how far do you think she can realistically go in this tournament? And what part of her game has to shine the most of that run to happen? Moments like this define seasons. A solid win builds momentum. A tight loss still builds lessons. But a breakthrough run? That can reset expectations for the entire year. And no matter what happens in Doha, this milestone stands. Direct entry. Earned, not given. That's a sign of a career moving in the right direction, even before the first ball is struck. Tennis IQ will be right here breaking it all down, every twist, every turning point, every sign of growth along the way.